Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Aiden Matthew Lopez. Lopez died on Saturday, March 26, 2016, after he was beaten in the 43400 block of Gadsden Avenue in Lancaster, according to LA County coroner records. Brittany Ann Ingrassi was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. Jessica Torres and Cesar Lopez, the parents of 5-month-old Aiden Lopez, left their apartment for work one morning and left Ingrassi to take care of their child. Ingrassi remained in the apartment with Aiden and Kirby, a 24-pound French bulldog. At 5:50 p.m., Joseph Carlos, who is Lopez's cousin and Ingrassi's fiance, called Lopez and sent him a text message stating, "I just called Ingrassi. Her phone is acting up. She said Aiden isn't waking up and to tell Torres to come home as fast as she can." Lopez tried calling Ingrassi several times, and when she finally answered the phone, she told Lopez that Aiden wasn't breathing and wasn't waking up. Lopez told Ingrassi to call 911, but Ingrassi said her phone was not working. Lopez immediately left work and spoke numerous times with Torres on his way home. At 6 p.m., Torres returned home from work to find Ingrassi at the top of the stairs to the apartment, shouting at her to hurry up because Aiden was not moving or breathing. Torres ran upstairs, took Aiden from Ingrassi, and noticed he was limp. Torres yelled at Ingrassi to call 911, but Ingrassi stated her phone was not working. Torres called 911 on her phone. Torres observed there was a scratch above Aiden's eye, his skin was cold, and his arm was swollen. When the paramedics arrived a few minutes later, Aiden's breathing was very weak and shallow. Aiden had a few scratches on his face, bruising all over his head, arms, and legs, and his right arm was deformed, indicating he had broken bones. Aiden did not have any puncture wounds or heavy bleeding related to any of the scratches, but he displayed posturing or involuntary muzzle spasms associated with a head trauma injury. Ingrassi told sheriff's deputies she left Aiden on the baby mat while she used the restroom. She said she heard Aiden cry, and when she came out of the restroom, she saw Kirby next to Aiden. Ingrassi repeatedly screamed without officers asking her any questions. The dog did it. 4 days later, Aiden died. Ingrassi gave conflicting accounts to the detectives of what happened to Aiden. Ingrassi initially claimed Kirby must have jumped on Aiden. Later, Ingrassi said she may have fumbled and fallen while holding Aiden. She may have picked up Aiden too hard, or Aiden may have hit his head on the door. Ingrassi's blood alcohol content 6 hours after her arrest was 0.10%. The pediatric intensive care unit physician testified Aiden suffered 2 fractures to his skull that a dog could not have caused because a dog would not be able to inflict a skull fracture without deep tissue laceration. The physician also explained Aiden suffered a complete break in the middle of his right humerus that could have only been caused by human manipulation. The physician testified Aiden's face may have hit a linear object that produced a bruising in a linear pattern, which was consistent with Aiden's side of his face hitting the edge of a door or the edge of the top of the crib. Aiden's eyes had extensive retinal damage, which was a cardinal sign to solidify the suspicion of child abuse. The coroner concluded that it was impossible that the break in Aiden's arm was due to a dog attack, and that Kirby could not have gotten her mouth around Aiden's skull to compress it and cause the 2 fractures. The coroner also stated that impact with some sort of an object that had a flat edge caused the linear bruise on Aiden's face. The coroner testified Kirby could not have swung Aiden with enough force to cause the fractures he observed. The coroner determined a blunt force head trauma caused Aiden's death. The people also presented evidence that shortly before Torres arrived home, Ingrassi deleted all the records on her cell phone. Data extracted from her fiance's phone, however, pointed to Ingrassi's guilt. On the evening the police arrested Ingrassi, Carlos conducted internet research on his cell phone for sudden infant death syndrome. Carlos's internet research later that night and into the early morning sought information about how babies can sustain bruises, causes of skull fractures, and liability of caregivers for a child's injury, and willful harm or injury to a child. Text messages from Ingrassi to Carlos revealed that she felt Lopez and Torres were taking advantage of her, and that she had been searching for another job so she could quit caring for Aiden, and that Aiden's constant crying and the need to be held frustrated her. Text messages from Carlos to Ingrassi also indicated Ingrassi had a drinking problem and could lose her temper when intoxicated. Following the trial, the jury found Ingrassi guilty of second-degree murder, including a special allegation that she inflicted great bodily injury. Finding Brittany Ingrassi ineligible for probation, the trial court sentenced her to a prison term of 25 years to life. Aiden Matthew Lopez was 5 months old at the time of death.